Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about this story out of San Francisco that really caught my attention, because in this story, you have a business owner, and she looks like your average San Francisco type of person, and she decides to move out of one area of the city because crime was going up in that particular area. She didn't feel safe. She felt like the crime was negatively impacting her business. Then she goes to this new area, only to discover that the common crime in that particular area is arson committed by homeless people in that area, and those arsons are often used against vehicles that are parked nearby. So it's already bad enough that in San Francisco, somebody's going to break into your car, somebody's going to steal stuff from you. They're going to do so in public areas that are supposed to have a lot of people there. We've all seen the videos. You can look at the numbers of how high car break-ins are over there, but now you have to worry about your cars being set on fire in this particular area. And when I tell you what the fire department's solution is to dealing with the arsons coming out of this encampment, you're gonna lose your mind, because I kind of did when I saw it, and I'm a stable person, and you're way crazier than I am. Now, we're gonna get into this, but before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
All right, well, in other news now, it is a daily problem on San Francisco's streets. Fires sparking from nearby encampments in the Mission District. Several cars were torched in a pair of recent fires.
So I just want to say right off the bat, right off the top, that the way that they open up this segment, it doesn't give it the level of oomph that it needs. It doesn't really give it the lot of, if I were to say it in another way, factor that should be associated with this particular issue, because she just says, oh, well, it's a daily occurrence that people in this homeless encampment set cars on fire. And she says it in the most calm way ever, as if that is a normal thing that a major metropolitan area, a modern Western city, forget about that, any city anywhere should be dealing with. This is incredibly odd. It's incredibly absurd. And when you hear from the business owner, who not only relocated due to crime, as I said in the open, but actually had her own personal vehicle destroyed by a fire like this, your heart is gonna break a little bit, unless you have a little itty bitty baby heart like the Grinch before, it grew 3 sizes bigger.
Wilson Walker spoke with a business owner who moved to escape the crime.
Now on this channel, we always focus on the important details first, because that's who we are, that's who we choose to be, that is our calling, and the most important detail that I want to say is that this guy's name is Wilson Walker. Now, we already did a story on this channel, if you guys remember, about a vigilante in the city of San Francisco, and vigilantes need alliterated names. People with alliterated names should become vigilantes, so I was very disappointed to go through this story, not to find Wilson Walker fighting crimes, punching the fire in the face himself, and that really upset me. Now, moving on to the second most important thing, let me play the video to give you the little bit of a refresher.
So I thought maybe change of neighborhood, new scenery was the answer.
Following a costly robbery downtown, Desiree Barrera moved her proper Fox salon to the Mission just a few months ago. Trouble has followed.
Now look, I'm not interested in saying anything, but the thing is, you guys out there in the comments will say something, so I have to make comment on it in order to prevent you guys from losing your ever-loving mind. And that is, I'm kinda into it. Desiree, I'm feeling you. The Latin vibe, totally all about it right here. Now, I'm personally engaged, so I'm only speaking for you guys out there in the audience, you preverts, you people who disgust me, but it was a good idea for the aesthetic appeal of this news segment to have her walk and talk like this throughout the course of this segment. This is a little Latina.
You're Latina!
I'm just saying you should be supportive of her for that.
I came out all the way, I seen huge flames, ran down a little bit, my car was on fire, ran all the
Her
way
car
back.
was the only one damaged that day. It was totaled, and that was just the first fire.
So as you can see, our girl Desiree, who's walking very strong down the street of San Francisco because the news decided that she had to exercise while telling this story, which I think is honestly kind of evil of Wilson Walker. He might be one of those alliterated villains rather than a hero based on this, now that I think about it. But her car was completely destroyed.
And that was on Friday. That Sunday, there was another fire on this block that burned 11 cars.
And then 2 days after her vehicle was completely destroyed, as you just heard, another fire happened, and that particular fire claimed 14 vehicles. So right now we're talking about tens of to hundreds of thousands of dollars of damages over the course of a weekend due to the fact that encampment fires have become very common in the homeless encampment that is nearby that San Francisco refuses to address. And obviously, these are arsons on top of that, so you have somebody probably not in the right state of mind setting fire to vehicles for no particular reason. And I know many of you might be thinking out there, it might be because he was Aladdin and he's trying to feed his starving family because he's a homeless. And I don't know if you know this, but homeless are the most innocent angel victims of all of our society. But in my opinion, setting these vehicles on fire, ruining the lives of the people that you're impacting, destroying their economic productivity, making them have to pay for this not only in higher insurance premiums, but in repairs for damages not covered, and pay the cost of transporting themselves now that their vehicles are destroyed in the interim, probably not the most innocent angelic thing that you could possibly do for your entertainment or to fulfill some sick desire that you might have due to the fact that you're not in touch with your faculties. You've lost your mind. You're not making sense. But I could be wrong. You could think that these fires, innocent angel behavior, and honestly, if somebody has to get burned up in these, if a few cars have to go, I think that's totally fine because the homelessness, they was just expressing themselves.
So a dozen cars lost in 2 fires. Fortunately, neighbors managed to put out the 3rd fire before it could cause much damage.
Yes, so this was happened on Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. This was number 3 in 4 days.
Now again, while I do think it's cruel and pointless to make this girl walk through the crime scene to where her car was destroyed, another fire much larger ended up occurring, and then a 3rd fire that had to be put out, if you notice, by the neighbors, not by the fire department, also emerged in 4 days. I don't think that was very nice of them to do, but it goes to show you how prevalent this issue is, how much of a problem this is, and we've actually covered on this channel before how fires in these homeless encampments are going up, they are getting worse, and some of them are accidental, but in other instances, they're used to fight off against other homeless encampments, and other times, they're just straight up arsons committed for the fun of it. I'm sorry, I meant to feed the starving families of the homeless.
To date, as of 4 days ago, we had 681 encampment fires total in San Francisco.
While the numbers are actually trending down a little bit from last year, the San Francisco Fire Department still sees about 2 encampment fires every single day.
Now look, that is good news that there is a slight downtick in terms of the fires in these encampments in the city of San Francisco. I would hope this would be because London Breed is actually pushing a little stronger against the encampments getting really big and whatnot. But honestly, who knows? This could be a normal everyday kind of variance amongst a homeless population that we wouldn't expect to progress linearly. However, it's still 2 a day. That's still a huge deal. And what this fire chief says kind of really rubs me the wrong way.
Lieutenant Mariano Elias says the department is making outreach efforts to the tents along these alleyways.
So let me get this straight. I just want to have this all broken down in my brain so I can understand it. They're experiencing an issue of 2 homeless encampment fires a day in the city of San Francisco. And even though that sounds like a lot, it's actually slightly down from the previous year. They're actually slowing up the pace, which sounds like it's a good sign. However, their response to this, including situations where they have multiple fires, serious fires, in the same location that are clearly and obviously arson, is to do reach out to these homeless encampments to ask them nicely to please stop committing arson, and to ask them nicely if they're drug addicted to maybe get themselves in a rehabilitation program so they could stop setting things ablaze when they get high. That's the solution. That's what they're doing. And to me, this is absurd. We cannot allow these people to live in squalor for so long that they're losing their mental capacity. We cannot allow these people to be at risk of the fires. I mean, let's forget about the property owners, the businesses, the community, and all the negative impacts that these people have on other people. But just think about what it's like to live in these encampments where you have drug addicts all around you. You have violent people all around you. And I know somebody's going to say, if you're mentally ill, you're more likely to be the victim of a crime than to be the perpetrator. But the thing is, That's not true in terms of homeless encampments. In terms of homeless encampments, a mentally ill person is 35 times more likely to commit a crime against somebody else than somebody who is mentally ill but actually has a place to live, that's actually in care, in treatment, and all that. So you can't use these expand the denominator stats to try to nullify the danger of these people, but again, they're dangerous to the people in the encampments. Somebody could get killed there from these fires. Somebody could get injured there from these fires, and their best option is to reach out to them, and unfortunately, that is the best option, because when you listen to what this guy says next, you'll understand that there is no enforcement mechanism in order to deal with these people.
So they make daily contact. You cannot force someone against their will to move and or enter a rehabilitation program or housing. And frankly, some people choose to just stay on the streets.
I feel like for the most part, people understand people are just living and, city issues are going on. I would just say as of the past 2 months, the fires have been something that we have been concerned about and we have voiced to the city.
Now look, you guys out there in my audience said that you were into Desiree Barrera, you said you were feeling her, but I have to say, the luster a little bit lost right there, where she's like, well, we understand that the city, has its own issues and all that, but they're dealing with these problems for 2 months in this area, and they're saying the most obvious basic things shouldn't go on in any civilization, and the city of San Francisco is thumbing their nose at them, and she's calmly saying, well, there's processes and whatnot, there's things that they gotta deal with, the homeless people have god-tier rights, I don't know if you guys know that, where they're allowed to camp anywhere and set stuff on fire, so we can't expect the city and the fire department and all of these people that we pay exorbitant taxes to actually, interfere with the crimes that are being committed and protect their property and not decimate their own tax base by destroying businesses, by having these fires spread like crazy. But, we got to give them some time to deal with that. Insane.
Barrera says she and her neighbors have been patient, but the risk of larger disaster has them determined to find answers.
I've had a huge amount of support from different districts of the city, community, and business owners, and I would have to say everyone is on the same page as far as we all want change.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that you're actually getting support, Desiree. I believe that people are telling you they're right there with you and whatnot, but in reality, they're not doing anything. It should be the simplest thing in the world to say, if you commit an arson, you're going to prison. Remember, this is California, where they have wildfires get out of control, where they're supposed to be doing something about dealing with the spread of these fires. Yet, if you're homeless, if you have those god-tier rights, apparently you could just start a fire however much you want. In reality, I think the city is telling her that they're on her side, much in the same way that our buddy Wilson Walker, who actually probably is a supervillain a la Lex Luthor, is saying that he's on her side. Because when they make her walk across this thing, get a little exercise in order to show them on foot all the scenes of these fires, they decide to follow it up by positioning them like this. And you'll notice our girl Desiree has her hand over her eyes because the sun is getting in her face, but Wilson Walker doesn't care. It's not about her, it's about saying we do support her, but showing her we don't, and this is all an allegory for the city of San Francisco. So shame on you, Wilson Walker. Desiree, there's some people in my audience that would love to give you a call if you want to move out of San Francisco, and I wish you the best, and I hope they actually implement the changes that are necessary in San Francisco, but let's be real, let's be honest, nothing's going to change. They're not going to do much. They have some good talk from London Breed here and there, but in reality, until they get rid of some of these court rulings, until they change the fact that they can't put certain people in prison and they have to throw them in jail, and then they get booted out of the jail because there's no room in the county jail, we're not going to have a solution to these issues. I am sure in the state of California that somehow arson is going to qualify as a non-violent crime because California has lost their ever-loving minds, and the epicenter of that, the capital of that, is the city of San Francisco. That is the only way that you end up in a situation where we're not talking about arrests, we're talking about outreach, despite the fact that we have mega arsons like the one pictured that kill 14 vehicles. Another one ended up getting rid of this girl's car, and the problem only seems to be getting worse. And neighbors, it's on them to put out the fires and then wait for the city for months and months in order to address it, which they never will. So yeah, San Francisco, total disaster. Desiree, hang in there. But those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about San Francisco's insane fire problem. Till next time.